Hello there, everyone. Ashnflash here, and welcome on into my spoiler review for What If Season 2. If you don't know, this was and continues to be my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show. No matter what people say and want to, critique and whatever, it will never take away the amount of joy, the amount of love that I have for this concept of seeing all of these different characters from all these movies and shows interact with each other in ways that I just never in a million years would have thought that I needed to see. And I think that that's something that season 2 really delivered on. If you recall with season 1, I really loved it so much that I was doing reviews of the show weekly. That's how much I loved it. And if they didn't drop all 9 episodes back to back to back, I would have been doing it again here. But I did love it a lot just over Christmas and everything leading up to New Year's as well. Just having all these release daily was just such an experience, such a sort of whirlwind, I guess. I don't know if I would pick that to ever happen again for another show, but it was definitely a lot of fun because there was a Christmas episode. But anyways, if there is chapters down below if you want to hop around to the different episodes, as well as Lego talk at the end, because this seemed to have been what Lego loved the most from what they're putting out on Disney Plus, and they just did nothing really for season 2 except for one thing, which we'll talk about. But let's go ahead and let's get started with episode 1, What If Nebula Joined the Nova Corps? Really love this. What a strong start to the season. Like, aesthetically, I know that obviously a lot of it was inspired by Blade Runner, and maybe that's why I really like that episode, but just the futuristic cars and just even, just her being sort of this detective. Also the fact that she had even on a fur coat later on. Like, there was just small little details that they had sprinkled in here. So many of the buildings and the imagery and different things. It was just so cool. She even jumped off of a building at one point, which felt very The Fugitive. It felt like a reference to that as well, another Harrison Ford movie. But yeah, really loved it in terms of the concept of this. I think that in some ways it's sort of rushed with, okay, well, how did she even wind up on Xandar? Or, well, what happened to Thanos and different things like that. Like, I would have loved to see Ronan actually fight Thanos. Like, there's moments like that where I'm like, I need these episodes to be longer. That's a complaint that I would have amongst all of the 9 episodes. But really cool concept. I think that the fact that we got to see more of the Nova Corps as well was a lot of fun. I think that the only other thing with this episode that I could sort of critique is just it felt very convenient. I know that that's what a lot of people have also said, is that it felt like, oh, this person's here. Well, how did that happen? And I guess what I could explain that down to is everyone maybe went to Xandar because of, well, Thanos is dead, Ronan's, going around the whole galaxy and different things. What if they all went there because that's the safest place? That's the Nova Corps. I don't know. That's just spitballing there a little bit there, trying to fix that up and clean it up a bit. But in terms of, like, the characters that we saw, this was probably the only episode I enjoyed Corgan. I'm a little Taika Waititi'd out, as a lot of people are, but I did enjoy him here, and the dynamic that he had with Rock, Paper, Scissors was very funny, the trio there, and Howard the Duck as well. That sort of Guardians team that they put together there, I think that as well, it was cool to see Nebula narrate. I think that was also a cool little spin on these episodes. I love, obviously, the Watcher narrating, but the fact that she did take over there, I think, was really great. And her performance was just absolutely phenomenal. I wish that was when I forgot that you're not supposed to look at the intro and see the cast because it spoils who's going to be in it. When I saw Jude Law's name pop up there, I was like, oh, I forgot. Don't read this stuff. Really cool to see him back there in that role. Not something that I, would have expected, but it was really great to see. And it's just awesome when people come back. It makes such a huge difference. Like, Nova Prime would have been so much better if that was actually Glenn Close. But loved it a lot. Let's move on. Episode 2 here. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? This was probably the one that took me by surprise the most in terms of giving me things that I never in a million years could have imagined that we could have gotten. So, first of all, I love this team. Like, the lineup for this team was so darn cool. Assembling in the 80s or 90s, whenever it was just, what a concept. And the fact that it brought together everyone, including, oh, we're actually going to lend you the Winter Soldier for this mission. Like, those moments were really darn cool. And we'll just focus on him for a second. I thought that the moments between Howard and him were so heartbreaking. If you think about, he's able, let's see if I can get through this. He's able to talk down Bucky because he knows him. They were friends. The fact that he was able to talk him out of killing Peter and also Hank, I guess, in a way, the fact that he was able to talk him down from that, I think, was very powerful. And also the line about Steve saving his butt, again, I think was great. Again, in this episode, the performances, you could feel that when it was played by that person, it just elevated it so much more. And I think that was really great with Howard. And just some of the interactions there as well, just the different lines about, Tony and how he's always sort of this absentee father. And I like to think that because he's friends in this universe with Hank Pym and seeing how he is with Hope and now by extension Peter as well, maybe that would help him be a better father in this universe. I think that would be really interesting. And Peggy was amazing here too, just the little bits that we got of her. And Bill Foster as well, seeing him in his prime was not something we ever got to see. And the fact that, again, this sort of global threat forced him to take risks with the Goliath program, I think was a very cool concept, and having him back here was great. Of course, we'll talk about season 3 later on with him returning there, but I really appreciated that, and I'll keep going with the Ant family, but wow, the relationship, seeing it here play out with Hank Pym and Hope Young was just incredible. I think that Michael Douglas just chef kiss, incredible performance here, just like he did in season 1. This was just great as well. I really just need a young Ant-Man series. This is what further cemented that in my mind. He was just so much fun here. I thought that he also had just a lot of heart, and the moments that he had with Hope as well, and Peter too, I think was just amazing. I never in a million years, just a huge round of applause. I think there was a couple episodes when they ended, I stood up and applauded. This was one of them because of moments like Peter talking to Hope about the loss of their mother. Whoever on the bulletin board went, wait a second, what if we brought them together and had them, talk about grief and talk about losing their mothers and this thread that they share? Just well done. Who on earth would have thought of that? Because Peter's out in space, right? And Hope's here on Earth. The fact that they brought these two things together was just amazing. Also, seeing, in a way, a little bit of what if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, what if Peter did join Ego, and seeing what Ego's plans were to reshape the Earth and things like that, I think were a lot of fun as well. That was just incredible. And Kurt Russell just killing it. Just killing it with the dialogue here. Again, this was one that I could have just watched a 2-hour movie of. This was so great. T'Chaka as well. So darn cool to see him here. And Lawson, Dr. Lawson, less exciting, I guess. But still, that team, that dynamic that they brought together here was just so cool. Also, the Winter Soldier too, just to quickly go back to that really quickly because of T'Chaka, the fact that T'Challa thinks that the Winter Soldier killed his father, just the levels of, if you go down the route and think about all these different things, this one is just such an incredible concept. That team was phenomenal. Seeing them all fight side by side, more of that. Oh, and Thor showed up too, which was just nuts. Never expected that either. The fact that he's that Ego destroyed Asgard and the 9 realms, and he's come here pre learning his lesson. I wish that they could have, again, if this was a movie, we could have gone into he hasn't learned his lesson. He's still that arrogant party Thor, for lack of better words, to go back to season 1. I think that's really cool. But anyways, moving on now to episode 3. This one is What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas? This is the one that I was excited for it, but then there was something that made me really excited for it. I wish I didn't see it, and that was the fact that Justin Hammer was here. And it was Sam Rockwell as well, returning to play Justin Hammer. I feel like he's just so underused. Really, this episode is what if Justin Hammer is smart, because he's just a genius in this. He's hacking stuff left, right, and center, versus in Iron Man 2, he was completely useless and had everyone else doing his work for him. So I think that's probably what happened here, and why it's not maybe able to have happened in our main timeline. But regardless, I think that it was just a fun episode. It was Die Hard and Avengers Tower. I think that if Lego Avengers Tower hadn't just come out, I don't know if I would have been as excited and as blown away by this, seeing all these different rooms, seeing small little stupid things like lockers or the offices and different things, or the lab that they had, or all of the suits on display and different things like that. That to me sort of elevated and made my mind go, ooh, I could do this to my tower. Or like I did, I put the little Santa hat on top of the Avengers A. So moments like that, I think if it wasn't with the Avengers Tower Lego set, I don't think I would have necessarily put all that together and been as excited. But it was still really cool in terms of Happy having a whole episode to himself. Jon Favreau obviously is an incredible voice actor. We've seen that through Clone Wars and different things. So to have him here sort of carrying this episode was a lot of fun. I appreciated as well Colby Smulders coming back here as Maria Hill. We also had Darcy back, and the dynamic that she had with everyone here was just a lot of fun as well. But yeah, just Justin Hammer being back. Please bring him back into the MCU for Armor Wars or even Ironheart, because he's just so funny. I love him so much. But in terms of the concept of the freak part of things, as they would later refer to him in later on, skipping ahead to 1602, I think that was very interesting to see Happy. Poor guy goes bald when he hulks out. Yeah, that was a lot of fun as well, just seeing the Avengers fight him. And just what they were up to on Christmas, I think was pretty funny too. Just, Tony being Santa and Steve being an elf, being hounded by soccer moms, as Tony put it. But then also the funny details of Clint and Bruce going out to get a present on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, whatever day it was, and Clint having the last Iron Man one, being to Laura telling him, don't come home if you don't have it. But also in the back, if you look, the shelves are completely empty. So those are the Iron Man ones. And then to the right, it's just a bunch of Hawkeye toys that no one is buying. And that's so sad, but so funny. Oh my goodness. And Nat, of course, working on Christmas as well. And yeah, really just love that. I think that was just a lot of fun. Again, it's just one of those that just probably could have, could exist in the main timeline. But episode 4, what if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? In concept, I think that this is probably one of the strongest. I really love the idea of what if Tony didn't make it through the wormhole and landed in Sakaar. I think that's really cool. The execution of it and the writing of it and all of that felt very season 1. I think that for the most part, season 2 is really elevated a lot from season 1. And this to me felt the most disconnected, and it even feels disconnected from the season 1 finale, which I'll touch on in a second. I didn't find it particularly too funny. I do love Jeff Goldblum. I love the Grandmaster, so even getting those little moments was amazing. I really enjoyed that. Just anything more with him was so fun, so great. I was smiling the whole time. I don't think I really laughed at anything that was particularly funny in this episode. Like I said before, I'm corged out. I'm tired of him. Having Valkyrie here was a lot of fun. Again, getting the actual voice actors and different things, it just adds something to it. Like Tony here, in this episode, I don't think it really felt and sounded like him. Maybe a line here and there, but in other episodes, I think it definitely did. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't, just the concept of it was very confusing. Like, first of all, why is he even trying to prove anything to Gamora? Like, that just, I don't know. I didn't buy that. I didn't understand that at all. It's like, get back to Pepper, get back to protecting the Earth. But okay, fine. You're gonna set this planet free. I'm not sure if that's really something that Tony would say or do, but we'll go with it for a second here. So okay, you're gonna do this. You're gonna assemble this team. You were impressed by the racer who crashed, and then you're gonna build yourself a suit of armor, which was really cool. That was probably my favorite part of the episode, was seeing the transformation from the suit to the race car and vice versa, because we've never seen the suit transform into something. We've obviously seen it come on and off of him all the time, but to see it transform into something else was really cool. And again, just justifying that Lego set as well from 2 years ago was just so surreal that, oh, that 2-in-1 ability, that's an actual thing here. That was really cool. But yeah, just also you're betting that the Grandmaster would be like, yeah, I'll give up my throne if you beat me in this race. Okay, interesting, but yeah, I don't know. It's like, what do you have to prove here? I don't know, Tony, but he did it, which was great, and yeah, they beat the Grandmaster with that special little stick. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, wait a second, Gamora, who I've barely talked about here, by the way, because she didn't really do much. Tony just talking her down out of it, but also really quickly setting up their little. They were trying to. The Grandmaster being like, oh, I sense a spark here, and the fact that they do hook up in the comics and different things like that. Also, they also referenced Demon in a Bottle. That was really cool too. So there was a bunch of like little comic stuff in here, so I appreciated that. Anyways, but with Gamora, I was like looking at the time, and I'm like, wait a second, when are they gonna fight Thanos? When's that gonna happen? And then it was just this tiny little split second of a thing, and it was just, let's poke him with that magic stick, and I'm just like, no scuffle, no nothing. I would have loved for Thanos to go toe-to-toe with that Sicarian Iron Man suit with Gamora, earn that armor. Instead, it's just, poke, haha, we got him. He's goo now. Okay. And then, again, now I'm going to tie it back to season 1. I went back and watched that finale episode, and it just it makes no sense to me at all. First of all, it opens with the gauntlet being melted. We see Peter Dinklage's character there, and he's helping destroy the gauntlet, which he technically wouldn't have at that time in 2012, but that's okay. We'll go with it here. We'll go with it. He's got the gauntlet, so there's melting it down. But also, Gamora's the one who has the device that can destroy the Infinity Stones. We never saw that happen. That was never something we saw. She just had it. So her purpose of being on the team because of that device, it made no sense. Also, Tony says a line of, I see a suit of armor around the universe now. After you proved yourself to Gamora, then you take out Thanos. What are you still doing out in the universe? You should be going home to Pepper. That was a really cool thing. I appreciated the fact that they all think that he's dead. That small little glimpse of what Earth is, they're mourning the loss of Iron Man. I think that's really cool to see happen in 2012. So I really would have loved to just see a little bit more of what's happening on Earth at that time period. Now he's wanting to build a suit of armor around the universe? Weird writing. I think they forgot to watch the finale and see what they actually wrote there. Next up, what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? This was the one that I was honestly, I think, least looking forward to, just because, okay, I don't necessarily... I like Captain Carter, I just don't necessarily want to see a rehash of the Winter Soldier. But they really took that in a really cool direction. Combining the Black Widow movie with the events of that, I think, was very interesting. And the story and the world they've built here, I thoroughly loved it. The fact that, first of all, Bucky Barnes is the Secretary of State or Defense or whatever it is that Alexander Pierce is. The fact that that's his role here, seeing old Bucky leading the World Security Council, that was really cool. I also appreciated the fact that they said that Bucky and Steve defeated Hydra, which then resulted in the Winter Soldier being taken over by the Red Room and different things like that. So that was a cool twist. I really love that a lot. So not only is there no Hydra twist in this universe like the Winter Soldier, I don't believe there's anyone lurking in the shadows. That's not anything that we saw here, but the fact that the Winter Soldier then is able to, or the Hydra Stomper, I'm going to get that confused, the fact that that's now bringing in the world of Black Widow. And that was just so cool to see those characters, to see the Red Room. And like the concept of this was just really great. And the moments between Steve and Peggy were just, oh, so heartbreaking. Like the music, whenever they play that song from Endgame, whew, my goodness. But that was just great. And seeing the relationship that we sort of heard a little bit about from the finale of season 1 of her being best friends with Nat was great to see here as well. And yeah, it was just a pretty straightforward episode, but I thoroughly enjoyed that world that they built there. And Sam Jackson back as Nick Fury here, just, it's awesome. Just, again, whenever they get someone back, so cool. And yeah, I loved it a lot. I think that the fact that the episode was sort of, they were calling it the Winter Widow is what internally they were calling it. I think it was a lot of fun, and it set up the crossover really well with that tease at the end. So next up, episode 6, What If Kahhori Reshaped the World? This was incredible. I know that this was the one that this is a big swing. Like they created an entirely new character here. And I like the concept of it as well. The idea that the Tesseract crashed after Ragnarok happened early. It shattered. And I never really thought of it infecting, or I don't know how else to really say that, but I guess unlocking other people's abilities, seeing the Space Stone do that, I think was really cool. And how does that work with that? They've got increased speed and flight, and they can move things and different things like that. I think that was really great. And I was reminded that Captain Marvel got her powers from that. And Kahhori already, in my opinion, has been more enjoyable and interesting than Captain Marvel has been in three films. Anyways, yeah, really loved her. Let's try and stay positive here. Really loved her a lot. I think that performance-wise and just the fact that this is our first ever Mohawk superhero was amazing, and the fact that we are hearing it all in their language for 99% of the episode was amazing. The concept here as well, that she's just the story of, she's, as Steven put it, world peace in record time. That was really, really great. And also, the Watcher, though, I don't think that we necessarily give Jeffrey Wright the amount of love that he deserves for this role and this performance that he gives, because it was in this episode that I really came to appreciate his performance. But just going to the end, that last little narration that he does was just so powerful. I don't know how else to say that. It was just amazing. I just really realized how much we have to appreciate him for narrating and taking us on this journey that we have been on. Yeah, really loved her. Cannot wait to see her, obviously, in live action, and we'll talk about her in Lego in a bit. But next up, episode 7, What If Hela Found the 10 Rings? This was one that I was just sort of on the fence about too. And first of all, huge shout out to Cate Blanchett for coming in and voicing her multiple times this season for Hela. Again, adding so much to the performance, because when you compare it to Odin, which some lines were like, okay, cool, but boy, if that was Anthony Hopkins, that would have been insane. He's doing voices for Rebel Moon, right? So it would have been so great to see here. But anyways, the concept of this was very interesting. I like the idea that instead of being a horrible father in person, he doesn't exile Hela to hell. Instead, he does what we saw happen with Thor, but early. And I think that was really interesting, that parenting technique, if you want to call it that, of putting her on a timeout on Earth to learn a lesson was really cool. I appreciated that he saw that she needed to change, and that she then is sent to Earth to learn that lesson, and she learns that by just the events of Shang-Chi, pretty much. And I think that was interesting as well to see early, to see the 10 rings here again facing this threat, Hela, and then later on the Asgardians. I think that was a lot of fun. And just seeing the Great Protector and that whole world from Shang-Chi was really cool. The visuals in this was gorgeous. Seeing Hela learn those abilities and everything was really great, and coming to the realization of, she should be able to choose her own path, I think, instead of being defined as what Odin wants and different things like that. That was really great. But then the fight was just nuts, with seeing the 10 rings fight against Odin, like the actual physical 10 rings, and then Hela there too. The thing that I don't understand with this episode is a couple of things. We'll focus on the timeline really quickly. Is she arrives, and obviously she makes reference to, oh, my father's new girlfriend, Frigga, and different things like that. So that means that Thor isn't born, obviously. And then that also means, though, that when Wu is active and in his prime here, canonically, I guess you could write it off as it's an alternate universe, but Thor is born before Wu. So the fact that Thor's not even born here doesn't make any sense. And the fact that Wu, who knows how old he is at this point, because he's already set up his empire. So the timeline there does not jive. But the other thing that writing-wise that I just did not understand the motivations was Odin being like, hey, what happened to my executioner? And it's like, you sent her here for a reason. You can't be like, you gotta go to Earth, to Midgard, to learn a lesson. Oh, you learned a lesson. What happened to that, my daughter, my warrior? What? Pick a lane, man. You can't be like, go learn this lesson. Oh, you learned it. We'll unlearn it. Anyways, I really liked her redemption. I liked the white outfit was insane. And then again, timeline-wise, what's up with Thanos there and Gamora? So when does this take place? Like, just we are all over the place timeline-wise there. I guess that you could say that that's just a flash forward, that we are seeing Hela and Wu fighting alongside each other, still preventing the events that we see happen to young Gamora. But then at the same time, it's like, if she's active hundreds and hundreds of years before any of that has even happened, then she probably would have put a stop to Thanos long before even getting to Gamora's planet. But episode 8, this one was insane, and it could be my favorite. I don't know, I go back and forth between the Peter Quill one, but still really great. I love the idea of this. They just throw you right into it, which I think was just so interesting too. It's like you're there, and I wish they didn't put in the trailers how they get stuck there. I think that was really cool. The fact that we have the idea that Steve just hit the time stone, whether or not it activated it, chipped it, whatever you want to say, but it teleports that universe into this old world, and just, I need more of that. I know that we've got the Marvel Zombie show, but I want a Avengers 1602 show, because that, just the concept of that alone was just, I need more of that. I love the lore there that we're getting. It's just like the world that they built there, and with the Winter Widow one, it's so darn interesting. So where do we even begin? We've got Hela, she's the king or the queen, and then she gets sucked into this rift, I guess, because of the time stone and everything that happened there. But Wanda as well, Elizabeth Olsen here voicing her, just elevates it so much. It's just absolutely incredible here. Again, going back to that original episode, but seeing Fury still be that spy, and the consistencies of Loki still wanting attention, and just him being this dramatic actor and different things was a lot of fun. But then the Rogers Hood and Bucky and Ant-Man was so great. So great to see that relationship there. Them just having, combining Robin Hood with that, and him stealing from Loki, and then Carter and him was just so heartbreaking. But again, I could just praise this episode so much. You've got Happy, but also he's the freak from the other episode. He's got that anger issue. Then I'm jumping ahead here for a second, but seeing Hulk and him go toe to toe was so much fun. Their quips back and forth to each other, it was so great. It was so perfect. And with the Hulk, though, there was a minute that my mind literally melted, because I was like, no way are we seeing this? When they said the man in the mask, or the iron mask, or something like that, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna see Doctor Doom. You see the hood there, and then it's just Bruce Banner. But there was a moment where I'm like, oh my goodness, we're about to see Doctor Doom here make an appearance, which would have been insane. But yeah, there's other things like they talk about Nebula and Groot and someone else had some base. I don't remember. But then there was also, I think Scott said, or maybe it was Bucky. It was Bucky. He said this one's for Clint, or Barton. So again, what happened to Hawkeye in this universe? Where's Natasha? Like, I need to know more about this universe. What's with Tony here? He doesn't have a suit. What if he made a suit? Like, I just would have loved to spend more time here. I think the concept of that was so interesting. The world that they built here with Wanda Merlin, and again, the levels of this, it's just, there's a whole show, a whole movie there that they could absolutely do so great. That ending was also just so heartbreaking with Steve, and again, them being like, him having faith that there's a version there's a version of them out there that do wind up together and that they are happy. I think that's really sweet that he has that faith in that. So yep, moving on now. Episode 9. This one was nuts too. It's like, where are they coming up with these ideas? Oh my goodness. So Strange has been cooking. He's collecting everyone. It's literally the Lego Marvel special that we had, pretty much. The collectors going around collecting people. Strange is doing that, except he's putting them into a world engine to bring back Christine, and I just felt like that was so in line with him. Of course, he's still obsessed with that. We see that, and we saw why. It's his grief, the monsters and everything that he brought into himself to protect Christine was just, that's so interesting to me. The fact that he's doing this, that he's still obsessed with this, and he didn't just collect Ultron and Killmonger. He's now going on beyond that, and just so great. Benedict Cumberbatch just killing it here, performance-wise, amazing, absolutely. All of the magic that we see here, I tweeted this and I stand by it. Everything from Strange Supreme, from his episode to the finale to this episode, leaps and bounds more interesting visually, emotionally than anything that we see in Multiverse of Madness. I will die on that hill. So much better than anything in that movie. Really cool. I loved it. Just seeing him fight Peggy. I think that turn as well of, he's up to no good, and he's not this friend that you can trust. But even Kahhori here was just, the two of them teaming up was just amazing. The use of the stones here, specifically when Peggy wears that suit, was just amazing. Like, the use of the space stone for her shield, already, that thing does not obey the laws of physics at all, right? The fact that she's able to just sort of bring it back to her through the space stone was so cool. Using the reality stone to duplicate herself to go off against all of the duplications of Strange, and even just using the time stone, the power stone. No one knows what to do with the soul stone, I'd just like to point out. No one's using that at all. But yeah, she probably could have just snapped him out of existence, but we'll ignore it because we got some really cool visuals here and fights. And obviously Kahhori too, just using her space stone abilities too, was just so darn cool. And Strange as well. I really enjoyed the concept of, as they're like about to die, just everyone giving Peggy all their different items. I think was really interesting. The only, like, visually, Hela's helmet just looked a little bit over the top, but the fact that, like, Kahhori's using the space stone to pick up Thor's hammer and different things like that, that was really cool. Love that a lot. And that big demon version of Strange as well, his grief, really great. I love that he was able to bring Christine back. I think that was a very powerful thing. Even if he's not able to be with her, I hope that he's happy that he still did that. Everyone there, by the way, in that prison and fighting each other was just insane. Rocket, that Hulk, and everyone else. Oh my goodness, you could spend so long just going in there. Oh, the zombies was so cool to see back too. But yeah, that intro, by the way, the What If intro was very interesting. So that whole time, they kept advertising. We're into season 3 talk, by the way. They kept advertising everyone on my feed today. It's like, look at this clip from What If. I'm like, no, I don't want to see, because they spoiled the Freak earlier this week, which, like, I wish I didn't know that. Literally showed that in one of the clips. I forgot to mention that when I was talking about that episode. So I'm like, no, every day this week they've been releasing clips, and I'm like, oh, no, don't want to see, don't want to know. So I happened to see the car, and I'm like, no. So this whole time I'm like, wait a second, where's this car? And when the episode ended, I'm like, wait a second, I didn't see what that was. And I go and I look, and I see that it's a clip from season 3 of What If. My favorite show has been renewed. Because I was busy all day, I didn't realize that, and I'm just so happy. Like, I couldn't be happier about this. I love it. I can't wait to see whatever that What If is with the Red Guardian. Maybe if it's What If the Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier are friends or something like that. I don't know. But Bill Foster being back there too. Also, America Ferrera? I'm pretty sure. Anyways, please don't let it be that long. I don't want to wait another 2 years for this. I hope it's late next 2024. I'll take it. But I am curious to see what else they're going to do. I think it's interesting the complaints that people have for some of these episodes for the show. It's like, oh, they're just rehashing the story and just changing some things. But then there's also just people those same people being like, oh, we need to see what happened to Endgame, and we need to see the other half of the people rescue them. What if they survived? It's like, that's the same thing. You want to see that? So anyways, that's what I'd love to see. I'd love to see that. I feel like this season needed something Spider-Man related. We had that really great Spider-Man actor from the zombie episode, and we didn't really get to see anything more there. I think there's definitely stuff that they could do with that. But yeah, just please, just more of this. Bring back more people. Another idea that I have, and we sort of got a glimpse of this in the finale, but setting one in a Western, sort of like, we saw, obviously it's happened in the comics and shows, but like we saw in Lego Marvel 2, we got a little glimpse of that with Loki here in the finale, just people loving 1602 and being set in that era. I think a Western would be a lot of fun. Lego talk. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that the only thing from season 2 we got was Goliath, and it's like, again, I love that episode, but why him? It could have been Strange Supreme since he came back this season. Would have been so darn cool to get. At least it wasn't another Captain Carter variant. I mean, we've already gotten 2 versions of her, the Winter Soldier outfit too, so. But yeah, Lego loves that show, and it's like they did the Hydra Stomper, and then they did the Sicarian Iron Man, which was ahead of its time since that episode didn't come out. So I hope that, like, sales for that didn't deter them from doing something for season 2, because it's not that set's fault. But yeah, minifigure wise, like collectible minifigures, I'm sorry, I will die on this hill, keep saying it, X-Men 97 should not have been in that series, and even the choices they made were wrong. But man, imagine if that was another 3 spots for What If. Like, we could have gotten so many cool characters here from this, and I absolutely would have loved that so much more than Wolverine, Storm, and Beast, because they could appear in their own sets. They're getting their own sets. So, yeah, that's disappointing. I definitely want to draw a series 2 for What If. I did a series 1. I'll do a series 3 because I love it so much. I could do a whole 1602 series because those outfits and designs were just so cool. But yeah, there's so much to pick from. So for that, I'd love like a carriage, little, steal from Loki thing would be so fun to see. I'd really love that a lot. But what else could you do? You could do Nebula's car. You could do Ego's spaceship, I guess, from the 2nd episode. For the 3rd episode, Christmas-wise, this one's a little more difficult since we just got Avengers Tower, so I don't really know what you could do. But I'd love some sort of freak fight against the Hulkbuster. I guess that's something that they could do, right? If we didn't just get that Hulkbuster. Episode 4, we already got something. The Hydra Stomper, again, same thing. You could get a new updated version of the Hydra Stomper. Kahhori, again, she just should have been in the minifigure series. Again, as cool as Goliath was, she should have been there. Like, so deserving of a spot to be there. I don't necessarily think there's a set there. Maybe the Bison, the Space Bison, but I'm not too sure. Hela, yeah, again, minifigure series, just give her the white version in there. I think that would have been really cool, but I guess you could give her the wolf as a set, or fighting off against Odin with Wenwu would be kind of cool. But again, there's no vehicles or anything that I can really think of there. But the 1602, I already said that, and What If Supreme intervened, you could have some sort of build where, you know, he's got maybe people imprisoned, or he can imprison Kahhori, and then you've got to break her out with Captain Carter, or different things like that. That'd be really cool. Maybe the big monster version of him could be builded in there too. There's so much for this season that they could have done. So much from season 1 that they could have returned to do as well. But yeah, it's just the minifigures. There should have been people from there in the series 2. Very disappointed. Hopefully, when Series 3 inevitably comes out, and then Season 3 of What If comes out, hopefully there's a little bit more planning on Lego's part there. But what did you think of the series? However long my review is, believe me, I've trimmed it down, and I could have talked about this for at least an hour just praising this thing. Like, it's so fun. Love it a lot. Be sure to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss out on future What If news. And we're going to do reviews of Season 3, of course. And yeah, I just love it. I'm just so happy. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next one.